The Diablo 4 live stream happened today. There's a lot to talk about and cover, so let's get right to it. I hope you'll join me. See you on the other side. Basically, we're going to bite down on darkness and Season of Blood. We're stepping out from the shadows that once obscured them. The Dark Master's blood seekers swoop in to prey upon unsuspecting mortals. Their ravenous appetites have grown. The Season of Blood will soon ooze through Sanctuary, which is going to launch on October 17th. We're aware of that. This is where Eris comes into play and the campaign. We meet Eris. She's a vampire. She's not had success with beating these you-know-whats. So we offer to help, I gather, in some way. And that's where we meet her. We team up and we proceed through the campaign to defeat these foes. Now, there are new foes. They are just a couple of examples. There's champagne, shadow vampires, blood skeletons. They went through 4 or 5 new mob types that looked good, but basically we're gonna do the campaign. We're gonna be aside Eris, and we're gonna fight these vampires. While we're fighting these vampires, we in tune will get vampiric powers. There are 22 vampiric powers that we can get in Season 2. They can also be equipped to our gear, and I'll leave it at that. Again, I do not want to get into the nitty-gritty. I think getting into the stuff that I want to talk about is, number one, more interesting for me, and I think more valuable for you. Because at the end of the day, like I have these Season of Blood notes, which are on the Blizzard website, you can go there and read them yourself in way more detail and get every single nook and cranny out of how this works. But October 17th, Season of Blood, we go in with the campaign, we meet Eris, and we go and we do the campaign, and while we're doing it, we're getting vampiric powers. Okay, turn back Crimson Tides with Eris in a new quest. At first, they target small hamlets, descending upon insignificant prey and tearing into their jugular, a most grisly death to befall someone. But then their ambitions grew and they became sloppy, greedy. That's when word of suspicion, vampire activity met your ears, Wanderer. Okay, Magistrate Orin, the distraught leader of a town badly plagued by this bloodthirsty assailants, needs your help in investigating the recent slew of murders. Enter Sanctuary's vampire-infested underbelly in a new quest line. And there you go. There's the quest line. Recruit the skillful vampire hunter Eris to your cause and discover the sinister plot of the Dark Master behind it all. And the Dark Master behind it all is Lord Zir. Okay? So basically, okay, Sammy, how do we get these vampiric powers? Well, you're going to siphon the blood of your foes using those vampiric powers. You're going to drive a stake into the heart of the Dark Master's plan. Will require you to wield their same savagery. So in order for us to defeat these foes, we got to become them. And hence, vampiric powers. What was once a forbidden art shall become Sanctuary's salvation. But to wield it, you're going to need blood. Potent blood. Acquired from fallen adversaries. Potent blood could be spent in the Vampiric Powers tab, which we see right here. It's in our character screen. And we are going to be using these potent bloods, and just like skills or specialization, we can fine-tune our character to these new vampiric powers. Okay? And potent blood can be spent in the Vampiric Powers tab with the character menu to unlock a random power or power upgrade. Vampiric powers can also be unlocked by completing the seasonal quest line and from the Blood Harvest seasonal event. Okay? Now, we were told about the Blood Harvest seasonal event. It's basically a Helltide, but it's specific to the season of blood, and that it has materials and the enemies of the season of blood. So it's specific to season 2, but it runs similar to like a Helltide with a couple of caveats. The Harvest seasonal event is always up. So when it finishes in one area, it'll immediately spawn in another area. So you can continuously farm Harvest seasonal events. Unlike Helltides, which once they're gone, you have to wait for it to respawn again, however long it takes, right? Whereas the Harvest seasonal event will be a constant fixture in the overworld. It just changes locations. And the other difference is when you're doing the Harvest seasonal events, the drops from those Harvest seasonal event that are specific to season 2, I'm not going to get into all of them. Those do not disappear like in Helltide when Helltide is over. In the Harvest seasonal event, you actually keep them. And you can go to the next one and they just keep multiplying and adding up. You do not lose them. So those are the two main distinctions between the Harvest seasonal event and the Helltide. But I make that connection just because we all know what Helltide is, okay? And after learning the Vampiric power, you can spend Potent Blood in the Powers tab to take its might to the next level. Each power can be upgraded to a maximum of level 3. And you see it right here on the Shattered Runic Gloves, where they have each one at 3. Okay? And you can have up to 5 powers can be equipped to your character at a time. When you hover over a Vampiric power, you'll notice its display anywhere between 1 and 3 symbols and numbers. These are called Pacts. And the number is their associated cost. This is where Pact armor comes into play. And you can see this Shattered Runic Glove has been granted Pacts. Okay? So you need to grant each equipment with a Pact so you can equip these powers onto that whatever item you granted it to. So to unpack your Vampiric power through Pact armor, there are 3 Pact types in total. All right. And they say use the image above for reference, but from left to right, they are called Ferocity, Divinity, Eternity. Okay. Keep your eyes peeled for chest armor, pants, gloves, boots, and helms containing packs that drop during Season of Blood because they are needed to activate your Vampiric powers. Okay? Once you have both Pact armor and Vampiric powers equipped, you'll need to ensure that the armor you're wearing provides packs that match the activation cost listed on the power. Okay? So I take from this that equipment is now going to drop with packs granted Vampiric powers on the armor, and then we are going to have to make sure that we have the season of the stuff to activate our Vampiric powers. Okay, and sorry, this is like getting right into the weeds, but I just wanted to give you just kind of like a high level because I don't want to get into the weeds because I don't want this video to turn into that because you guys can read this, okay? And then here's how you customize your Pact armor to your needs, okay? You might not always have armor with the right packs to activate the Vampiric powers in your collection. The Dark Master servants have devised 2 types of items to remedy this situation: standalone packs and cleansing assets, okay? And these are seasonal consumables which will be in our inventory. And the standalone pack, okay, which is this guy, that is used to add a specific type of pact to an item of your choice. This can only be done if the maximum amount of the pack type isn't already on that item. Cleansing acids are used to remove packs from an item. These crafting items can be pried from the clutches of Bloodseekers, as well as acquired from the Blood Harvest Season event, which we just went over. Okay? The Season Journey and the Opulent Coffins, and through the new quest line. Use these tools to ensure you always have packed armor that matches the vampiric powers you like to use. Okay? Now that so next is bleed new blood into your build. Now that you've learned the vampiric powers and the packed armor, let's look at the 22 vampiric powers available. I am not going to read 22 vampiric powers. You can go on the Blizzard website, and here they are, and it tells you exactly. Okay, I will skim over 3 or 4. So this one gives you ultimate skills gain, 20% cooldown reduction. Okay, you deal 24% increased damage to enemies. Lucky hit. For every 5 basic skills you cast, one of your active cooldowns is reduced by 2 seconds. Thorns have a 10% chance to deal 300% increased damage and chill enemies for 8%. Anyway, on and on and on and on. Okay, so on their publication, all 22 vampiric powers are listed. Okay, and then, I didn't want to do this. Reap Hunter's Acclaim from the Blood Harvest Season event. Okay, so there's a new, I don't know if you want to call him NPC, but it's Hunter's Acclaim. And when they showed it on the stream, it looked like an NPC to me. This is home of the highest chance to receive potent blood and packed armor drops. Is the Blood Harvest seasonal event. Okay, so it looks like we're going to be doing a lot of Blood Harvest seasonal events if we really want to customize our vampiric powers. With a wave of his hand, the Dark Master has dispatched cunning Bloodseekers with enemies of vampires to conquest the dry steeps, blah blah blah, sanctuary, imprisoning, yeah. Putting enemies to the sword during bounties, bursting bloodbusters, completing word events, disrupting vampiric rituals, and freeing prisoners will earn you some reputation. With reputation, you'll climb tiers containing useful rewards such as crafting materials, items, and packed consumables. Okay. There's also going to be Crush the Dark Master's army in new events. There will also be a new world event and dungeon events where you can go toe-to-toe with more Bloodseekers and other vampires, foot soldiers as well. The Dark Master's army calls some of Sanctuary's dungeons home. Delve into their depths to see what secret lie in wait. Okay, they spoke about the 5 bosses. We're going to talk about that later. Okay, and I was right, by the way. And then they reviewed some of the unique drops and mounts that drop in certain areas. Again, you can read all of this. And, of course, earn rewards with the season journey and battle pass. And they went into the battle pass and, blah, 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 blah. Okay, now, seasons and your stashed items. Let's go to quality of life. As it was demonstrated on the stream, we can now search and filter our stash, which was very unique. There's actually a search bar, which we can type, vulnerable. If we know the name of the item we want to check if it's in our inventory, we can, in the stream, I think they looked up Doom. But it's very, very nice. Long time coming. Thank God they did it. And of course, here are all the cosmetic sets, which, by the way, was asked, what about sets? And they said it's coming. So not season 2. All right, sorry guys. There's a lot to go over. I kind of don't want to miss. So other things they mentioned, and I'll go over them very quickly. I'm just referring to my notes. So we all know the item power max was 820. It's now going to be 920. There's another change in season of 2. So there's going to be item power gear at 920. There's 12 new uniques in season 2. Reaching level 100 is going to be 40% faster. There was a question about Paragon points. Is it possible that we can reset the whole board with just one click, purchase it, wipe our board so we can reset it and do a new Paragon board instead of one by one going through all the boards? They didn't answer it, but they did a, well, wink, wink. So that's coming, guys. They're probably going to talk about it next week. And whether it's going to happen right on October 17th, but I suspect the wink, wink thing, they just didn't want to mention it today. They're probably going to mention it next week or tell us when it's going to be implemented. So it looks like we're going to get our wish and reset the Paragon board with one click. The Endgame bosses, the 5 new bosses, new quote unquote, they are going to also be in effect on the Eternal Realm starting October 17th. And there's also some other stuff that's going to be effective on the Eternal Realm, and we're going to cover that on the next slide that I have a graphic for it, and you'll understand once we get there. And of course, we already knew this. Leaderboards for sure now is coming in season 3. Season 3, we already knew that actually, but it was definitely confirmed today. All right, this is what I wanted to get into. I hope you guys can see this. I'm gonna enlarge it when I cut the video. But this is the new system of how we're gonna progress through the game. So you can see here level 1 to 50, level 50 to 70, level 71 to 100. The five new bosses are in the gold boxes. 2 of them are repeated, so there's 7. That's why there's 7, because 2 are repeated. There are 2 bosses that are in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. Okay? So follow me here. So normal progression is we do the campaign, Whispers, Capstone Dungeons, and then we go to, World Tier 1 and 2, right? And then we go to World Tier 3 and we grind Hell Tides, Nightmare Dungeons, whatever, right? And we then do Capstone and we go to World Tier 4, okay? In Season 1. So the current way, we're in World Tier 4, depending on what level you go in. Here it shows level 71, but I went in way earlier than that. I know a lot of other people did as well. And today, when we're in World Tier 4, basically we do Nightmares, Hell Tides. There's the World Bosses, Legion events, and Whispers, okay? So all these white boxes here, including Lilith, is what we currently do today. It's in the game, okay? So the yellow bosses is what is being added. The 5 new bosses. Now, granted, the campaign part is going to be new. Okay? And the new, I don't want to call it Helltide mode. And the Blood Harvest event is new. And then we have the 5 bosses. So this is how life is going to be for Season 2. Okay? We are going to progress as we normally progress. And instead of, and I'm talking end game now, okay? 70 plus. Instead of having just these guys to do, which predominantly was nightmare dungeons till we were hitting our head on a brick wall. Some people did Hell Tides. Some people didn't do Hell Tides. I mixed in Hell Tides just because I couldn't take running nightmare dungeons for 7 hours. So I would sprinkle in a Hell Tide. I would sprinkle in the Tree of Whispers too. You know, do those things, get the reward, and then either go back to Hell Tide or go back to grinding nightmare dungeons, okay? Now, in Season 2, we have these 5 bosses which we can farm, target, and fight. However, there's requirements to them. So, the Echoes of Varshan, okay? So this one here at World Tier 3 and this one here at World Tier 4. Echo of Varshan, World Tier 3 and 4, defeat grotesque debtors during Whispers of the Dead for a chance to receive parts of Varshan's body. The Tree of Whispers collections gained from turning in grim favors guarantees a part of Varshan's body. Once you will have enough parts, including a malignant heart if you're playing on World Tier 4, you can summon Varshan. Okay? So, in order to grind Echo of Varshan, you will have to grind the Tree of Whispers, because the material, part of the materials it drops, is a requirement to farm this boss. Okay, you're going to see a trend here. Okay, so that takes care of Varshan. Okay, then we have, I'm going to butcher his name, Grigor, the Galvanic Saint. Okay, right here and right here. So he's available in World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. And you must gather enough living steel from the tortured offerings in Helltide. So in order to grind and farm this boss, the Galvanic Saint, Grigor, you need to farm Helltides, because those are the materials you're going to need if you want to target farm the unique or uber unique that you know drops there. Okay? Noticing a trend? Then we have the Beast in the Ice right over here. Okay? The Beast in the Ice is only World Tier 4. Gather Distill Fear while completing Tier 30 or higher Nightmare Dungeons. After you have enough, visit the Oculist and craft the Glacier Pfizer Nightmare Sigil. Activate it, then you can fight the Beast in the Ice. Okay? By the way, the Oculist is being moved to the Tree of Whispers for convenience. So, in order to fight the Beast in the Ice, we have to grind Nightmare Dungeons Tier 30 or above. Now, let's go to Lord Zir. Right over here. He's only available in World Tier 5. The Dark Master, that's what he's referred to, is World Tier 5. Defeat a world boss on World Tier 4 or complete a Legion event. From these activities, you'll acquire Exquisite Blood. Once you have enough, you'll be able to summon the Dark Master. So in order to farm and fight and go into this area of the Dark Master and face that new boss, you will have to grind world boss events and Legion events. And because you were going to require the exquisite blood dropping from those events, which are going to drop from those events. How much? How many times you got to do it in order? We didn't get into that. Okay. And then there's Echo of Dorel. Probably pronounced it wrong. Okay. He's the new big guy. He's the new big boss. Okay. Only available in World Tier 4. You have to defeat both Grigor, the Galavan Saint, and Varshan in World Tier 4 to collect Mucus Slick eggs and Shards of Agony. Once you have enough, they never mentioned the amounts or how much was required, you'll be able to summon the Lord of Pain, Duriel. Out of this group of bosses, Duriel is the only one who has a chance to drop uber unique items. The Smoldering Brimstone Mount can also potentially drop from this boss. They also said about this boss, it's going to be, and I use the term easier, take it with a grain of salt, but this is, I'm paraphrasing them, because it was asked, is equivalent to Lilith, the fight? And he said, you're going to find it a tad easier. Take that word with a grain of salt. Okay. So it sounds like this boss fight is going to be a little easier. What that means, who knows? So as you can see, we now have a roadmap for what Season 2, Season of Blood is. And really, at the end of the day, outside of the Season of Blood mechanics, you know, the campaign, vampiric powers, farming the stuff to get it, you know, that's aside, okay? What's also new are the 5 bosses, how we go about fighting them, and what is required to do in order to refight them and target farm them, which I just explained. Okay, well, there you have it, everyone. I tried to put in as much as possible. Again, I'm trying to keep this video under an hour. So I didn't bring up everything. They had a Nightmare Dungeon designer on the stream, and he talked about all the changes to the Nightmare Dungeons, you know, things like we're going to be teleporting into the Nightmare Dungeon, not outside of it. Increased mob density, not being CC'd as long, having more visuals to foes' attacks and that kind of stuff. So all improvements. Look, they fixed a ton of UI things. They fixed a ton of game mechanics. They added and diversified how we can grind and target farm. There was a ton of stuff done, a lot. And go on the Blizzard website and the forum, and you'll get the patch notes, and it'll all be there in greater detail, and you can kind of dig into what you want to dig into. But all in all, definitely, whether you hate this game or like this game, you can't deny the fact that there was a ton of enhancements and improvements are going to be made for Season 2. And we'll leave it at that. Please provide your comments on the comment section. If you watched the live stream, let me know what you thought. Is it a thumbs up, thumbs down? What are your thoughts? If you're one of the players that was not going to be playing Diablo 4 anymore, has this changed your mind? Interesting to know whether or not it's changed the minds of people. Look, like I said, this is a ton of improvements. Now, whether or not it's going to move the bar, only time will tell. And at the end of the day, we definitely have more areas to improve, but this definitely makes the game more digestible. and adds more diversity into how we can grind, level, etc. Anyway, let me know your comments. My apologies for the really lengthy video. Like I said, I tried to get in as much as I could and condense it as much as I could. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope you'll tune in next time. Take care.